Welcome to Talking Business and Life with Claudio Relsano and Steve Mancini. Claudio and Steve will share their business and life experience to help you grow your business and improve your life. Here's Claudio and Steve.
Good evening and welcome to Talking Business and Life. I am your co-host, Steve Mancini.
And my name is Claudio Relsano, and as always, we appreciate you all tuning in.
Claudio, I'm doing the octopus thing again.
Always.
You know, when you started saying hi, how are you? I was like, all right, I know I got to hit a button here to get it off of me. And by the way, look, no gloop today. I got a haircut.
You have to give yourself credit because you do a great job. I couldn't do it, that's for sure. So I can't criticize. I can't say anything.
You were always my favorite. Don't let our guest fool you. You know what I mean? You're always my favorite. But no, I didn't even put, as I call it, the gloop in my hair because I got a haircut Saturday.
Oh, good.
I'm excited, but I did get the chance to actually go outside. And it turns out not every day rains in Pittsburgh.
But this week it's going to rain a lot, which is fine with me.
I stand corrected.
My season's over, so I don't care if it rains every day.
Rain, baby, rain.
That's it.
All right, Claudia, we have a wonderful guest, and you're going to introduce her.
Someone who, how do they word that? Has my heart, because she is into pets, and I love pets. She is a podcast host. The podcast is called Let Fear Bounce. She has written several books, and her latest one is called Nuggets of Hope. And we'd like to welcome to our show Kim Lengling. I hope I pronounced that right, Kim.
You did. You nailed it. Thank you.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. People butcher mine all the time, so I'm very sensitive to other people's last names. But Kim, you know what? I really do love pets, and I'll tell you, I had a dog from 1972 to 1988. And when he passed about 2 weeks after my mom, I said, that's it. I'm never going to have another pet again because I just couldn't take the hit. I'll be honest with you. 36 years later, 33 years later, whatever it is, we have a cat, Silver, and we love that little cat. And she owns the house, and she owns me. And we don't do anything without asking her first. But when did you start getting into pets and really taking it to another level, not just loving your pets, but writing books about it and talking about it?
I've always loved animals. I'm one of those ones that when I was little, I was always outside in the woods. Mm-hmm. And I was always bringing home critters that I thought were hurt, but they weren't. They were just tiny, and I should have left them where they were. Lesson learned. But, I was always out in the woods, playing in the creek, playing with different critters and stuff, and just very in tune with nature and animals and the neighbors' horses and chickens and all of that. And I talked my mom into letting me get a puppy because my best friend's dog had puppies. And that was the beginning. That was the beginning of it. I think I was 8 or 9 years old. And I've had a dog in my life ever since then. And you're right. When you say goodbye, it just rips you apart.
It does.
Rips you apart. And there were a couple times where I told myself too, I'm like, I just cannot do it again. I just can't. And then all of a sudden I'd get this little whisper in my ear. There's a dog out there that needs you. Because all my dogs, except for that very first one, have been rescues. And I'd get this little whisper, there's another dog out there that needs you. And I'm like, no, there isn't. I can't do it. But I would do it. I would do it anyway. So that's kind of how it started. It was just, I've always loved animals, no matter what they are. And I still do. I live in the country still. And, I feed all the critters, the deer, and I watch the possum and the ringneck pheasant. And we got a black bear that came through early spring, and, all kinds of cool stuff that goes through the fields and the woods around my house. And it's just, that's where I breathe the best is when I'm home or, in nature. That's where I breathe. I'm a Christian, so that's where I pray the most. And that's where I'm at most peace.
I got to say, great content, what you just said, but you also said something. You said the word crick.
I was going to say something about
really?
that.
I always say crick.
It's not creek. It's not creek,
I
gentlemen.
don't say
it's
creek either. I say crick. And there's a friend of mine, well, several from Las Vegas, from Louisiana. They said, what'd you say? I said, crick. That's how we say it. But anyway.
That's right. Okay, now I have a question for you guys.
Yes.
Soda or pop?
I say pop.
I say pop.
I hide my Pittsburghese, and I say a soda pop.
Oh,
I do it just to screw around with people.
I say pop. I've always said pop.
Well, there's and then of course there's going to be bologna and chipped ham, and we can go through our Pittsburghese or Yinzer, Western PA words
Right.
here, which ultimately, I'm sure there's some linguist out there that did a study and said these actually aren't just random ruinations of English. These are actually probably based on something, with all the people that migrated here and immigrated here, it's probably some kludge of accents. But Kim, I want to ask you an interesting question because a lot of people have a passion for pets, and I get it. I like animals, except I'm super allergic to them. But obviously, there was something beyond just liking pets that inspired you to write books and to really, I don't want to say make it a career, but you've kind of made a little more than just, geez, I like animals and I like to take the occasional stray dog. Because there are a lot of people that do that. But you kind of took the step further. What was the niche or the void that you saw that you thought, well, I want to go further and start really researching and writing about them?
I didn't see a void. It was a personal thing. I live with PTSD from something I experienced while I was in the military. And my dog Digger, the dog before the one I have now, had him for 14 years. He was not trained to be a service animal or anything like that. But he just intuitively was able to tune in with me. Like if I was going to have a panic attack or anxiety or a flashback, he got to the point where he could sense it in me before I could. And he would come, and he was a big dog. He's 105 pounds. He was a lab shepherd
That
mix.
is a big dog.
He was a big boy. And he was my rock for 14 years. And he had a lot of hugs and a lot of tears in his fur over those years. And thousands and thousands of miles we walked. Thousands of miles, literally, we walked over the years. But it was him that taught me a lot, not only about myself, but how to pay closer attention to the animals, because they are talking to you. They are talking to you. Just pay attention. They're letting you know. And they're there for you 100% all the time. Doesn't matter if you're crappy or in a poopy mood or you yell at them and then you say you're sorry because you're like, it's not your fault. I'm sorry.
I disagree on cats, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
No, trust me.
Dogs, right? I'll grab the dogs.
My cat's like that. Trust me.
With you?
Oh yeah.
I never.
Yeah, some cats are very independent. I understand that. But with Digger, I started writing down stories, conversations he and I would have, because I would look at him. He's one of those dogs where you could look in his eyes and you're like, you're almost human. I can see the way you're thinking right now. And so over the years, and as he got more in tune with me, and then I realized what he was doing, he was refocusing me before I would have a panic attack, or he would wake me up from a nightmare, in the middle of the night. I started like having these conversations pop up in my head, and his voice was always that of a wise older man. So I started calling him my old man. He was my wise old man, And so I started writing those conversations down and started sharing them on Facebook. Did that for like probably the last 7 or so years of his life. And he started getting a following. And I wrote one when he passed as well. He was teaching me a lesson and explaining and giving me a story that it's okay for me to let go and I'm going to be okay. That was hard. God, it brings me to tears to this day. But that's what kind of got me going with that was Digger. He was the inspiration for that. And then I realized, I'm not the only person that has an animal, whether it's a dog or cat, a fish or a horse, that has helped someone through their day-to-day life, who has been able to settle them, settle a troubled soul. Animals have the amazing, magical ability to settle a troubled soul. And I wanted to be able to share that.
Now I want to chime in because first of all, thank you for your service, and I'm also retired military, and decades ago the concept of PTSD was like you were starting to broach it. Maybe 20, 30 years ago they were starting to like maybe take it serious. But I remember watching, old videos after the First World War, Second World War with veterans and the trauma. I mean, these guys are like shaking and they're like, or the World War II, they're just, it's bottled up and they're just, a couple of booze shots and they're going to explode. And people didn't understand that. And now, people start to understand, and it's not just limited to military. You could have a traumatic thing happen to you, and it's
Absolutely.
not just to veterans. But you certainly see it in larger numbers because you send larger people into situations which are inherently going to stress them and strain them mentally, emotionally, etc., physically, whatever. Now, I want to ask you kind of a weird question because you said that the dog was basically kind of helped you get through PTSD. Is this something that you kind of learned on your own, or was this like recommendation or advice from someone? Like how did that kind of connection start with you?
I was I was struggling really hard for a while and couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, lost all kinds of weight, was looking really crappy. Didn't feel good mentally or physically. And I'm a member of a veteran group here, and the majority of the guys are Vietnam vets. And a couple of them, they're my big brothers. And a couple of them approached me one day and said, "Hey, kid, we don't know what's going on, the specifics, but we know the signs, and you need to go talk to somebody." And me, I was just like, bleep, bleep, you. I don't need to. I'm fine. Leave me alone. Get off my bleep. You know what I mean? That kind of attitude. And they said, "Well, if you don't go on your own, we're going to take you kicking and screaming. So that's your choice." And I was like, I don't need your help. Leave me alone. I'm fine. And a few days later, I was in a car and they were dragging my butt to go talk to somebody. They had made an appointment for me to go talk to a counselor. And they drove me up there, not a happy camper, but they took me up several weeks in a row to make sure I went. And it was that point where I realized, oh, maybe I do need a little help. Maybe it would help to talk to somebody outside of my bubble. Oh, really? Wow, I'm not the only one? Wow, amazing. Because you get so deep in it, it's hard to see outside. You need that unbiased opinion. And when I started learning from that, then I realized that's when I started noticing what my dog was doing, what Digger was doing. So I would get all, I would feel it. I always said I feel it creeping up, like it's creeping from up behind me. And, like in my stomach. And then my chest would get tight and my heart would start racing a little bit. And I'd be clenching my hands and then I'd be clenching my face. And I realized that Digger, and he was a big boy, would come up and start nudging me with his head. And I'd be like, "What are you doing, buddy? Leave me alone. Just go over there and lay down." Then I realized what he was doing, and that's how it kind of all came. I learned first, but he just learned instinctively.
Now, I'm going to
Does that answer your question?
Oh, no, that's a fantastic answer.
Okay.
It does. And, it's always good. I mean, and I think that people should be, if you're really going to call someone a friend, then you have to be there in the good times and the bad times. And you have to be willing to talk with someone that's a friend and have a hard conversation. That hard conversation might simply be, "Hey, listen, you're not doing so good." You know what I mean? And I think people will appreciate that, number one. But number two, you touched on something, and Claudia, I'm going to give you the mic. I just want to kind of finish a thought here.
Sure.
But you touched on something that's very important. A lot of people think they're alone in their problems. The show's called Talking Business and Life. And one of our takeaways, and Claudia and I have had this conversation a lot, is we don't want to be drama mamas. We want people to feel good, but we want people to see that there are a lot of people out there that have endured some very bad things in life. I was overseas for a long time. Because I did 20 years. I did all the good fun stuff. And so, I get it. And the flip side is then you realize, when you start talking with people, you realize, I got problems. Maybe they're not as bad as that person. I'm not saying that makes you feel better, but it makes you, at a minimum, it makes you say, you know what? I'm not on this island alone. And the fact that somebody cares about me goes a long way. And people need to hear that.
Yeah. That's the big thing. Being seen.
Yes.
That was huge. Because I didn't realize that I thought that I wasn't being seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kim, when you were telling that story, it brought two things to mind. When my mom was sick back in 1988, she was 48 and she passed away. But when she was going through her bout with cancer, and she used to speak to my dog in Italian. Trust me when I tell you, he understood her. He was bilingual. He understood English and he understood Italian. But he never would sit next to her. Well, he would never sit next to her on the couch. When she would lay down, he sat next to her. When she would go downstairs, he'd growl at her because he knew that's where he would get his baths. But wherever she went, he followed her. He knew something wasn't right. And then when she passed, 2 weeks later, he passed. So you can imagine the hell I was going through. But then my cat, this past October, when I had diverticulitis, I was in the hospital. When I came back home, she followed me everywhere. She likes to jump on me anyway, but at night, she jumped on me and slept with me. But it was a different thing. She didn't wake me up like she always does, like the 2, 3 in the morning to be fed. She left me alone. They know. Yeah. And it's hard to describe. I guess you and I just did describe it, but we have to give pets more credit than people do. They're a hell of a lot smarter. And one more thing. When I was a kid, whenever my parents would leave the house, my dog would come at me, and he was a mongrel. He was part Dalmatian, part pit bull. Friendliest dog. He started barking at me because he'd want to play hide and seek. Every time they leave the house, he was ready to play. It was crazy. He just knew. And like I said, these pets are a lot smarter than people give them credit for.
Oh, I often say my dog is so much smarter than most humans.
Oh, without question.
Yeah, that's why most days I'd rather be with my dog.
Oh, yeah.
As the honorary Italian consul here in Pittsburgh, I'd like to vouch for that. They just won't read the instructions. But anyway.
Oh, and you said that your dog was bilingual in Italian. My dog, I've actually trained them in German, so they're bilingual as well.
I believe it. And it wasn't, vocal inflections or anything like that. My mom would tell him again, he spoke, or he understood Italian, and it had to be Calabrese Italian too. I think it wasn't the Northern Italian, but it was funny. My friends would laugh when my mom would say something to the dog, to Grover, his name was, in Italian, and he'd listen. It was hilarious. They still remember it to this day. But it was when we got him, like I said, in 1972. He was already 2 years old, so he lived 18 years. But it was so hard, and I could not have another pet for, like I said, 30-some years. And this one was meant to be for us. She kept coming over to the house, and finally, my wife was like shocked, and all my friends were shocked. I said, "Yeah, we kept her," but it was a great move. But my daughter loves her. We love her, but you obviously get attached, and she's a great little cat. But it's, like I said, it's just hard, like you said, whenever something happens. But tell us about a couple of your books, and we'll get to the latest one last.
Okay.
Kitchen Floor and Paw Prints on the Couch.
Yeah, Paw Prints on the Couch and Paw Prints on the Kitchen Floor. This is the most recent one, Kitchen Floor. They are both anthologies from 23 and 24. They're anthologies, so there's about 20 stories with different people writing their stories about their pets and how their pets have enriched their lives or changed their lives or saved their lives, And so it's just, I reached out to people that I knew and then say, hey, spread the word if you've got a great pet story. And some of the folks wrote the story from their pet's perspective, and some wrote from both, like their perspective and their pets, having conversations and stuff, and just sharing. It's kind of like a Chicken Soup for the Soul book, only it's all about animals.
Yeah.
And it was so fun to put those together. And I do want to do a third one at some point. It's always nice to just have 3 and call it a series, And I tried to get some folks together last year to do it. It just didn't work out for whatever reason. And I was like, all right, well, then it's just not the right time to do it. So eventually there'll be a third Paw Prints book, and then that'll round out the 3-book series. But so fun and so many blessings, talking to all these different authors. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them had never written anything before. So it's the first time they're published, and, going through the whole editing process and all of that. But their stories are just amazing. I love it. You're going to, you laugh, you cry, sure. You laugh, and then you cry some more. It's just, it's life,
Yeah.
It's life. And I so enjoyed doing those books. And my newest one is called Nuggets of Hope. And that one came out last year too. And that came about as I had been feeling very strongly nudged. And the word hope was showing up everywhere, like hearing it on the radio, seeing it on TV, seeing it on billboards, reading it, whatever. And I realized, okay, you're supposed to do something with this word hope. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? Because I was not feeling hopeful. I was at a weird spot in life. It was kind of a dark, kind of a gray spot in life at that point.
Sure.
I wasn't filled with hope and sunshine and rainbows, like, yay. I wasn't feeling like that. And
Well,
I kept
life will
having,
do that to you for sure.
yes, it can do that at times. And but the word hope kept coming everywhere. And I'm like, I don't want to give anybody hope. It was just, I was in that mindset.
Sure.
And I realized I actually am supposed to do something. So I remembered I had this little deck of cards. It was 6 cards I'd picked up when I worked in the corporate world. I'd picked up at a networking event. And they said on them, like, you're awesome. You're a rock star. You're amazing. Stuff like that. And I thought, okay, I'll go find those because I know I kept them. I tossed them in my purse. And the next time I went out running errands, I literally just dropped those cards places. I just dropped them in with the cookies, put one in a pocket of a pair of jeans, put one in by the motor oil, And I thought, okay, 6 little nuggets of hope, I'm good. And that was then is when I coined it, little nuggets of hope. I don't even, that's how it came about.
Sure.
And I thought, okay, wipe my hands, I'm done. The nudge should be gone. But then it wasn't. And the nudge just kept coming and coming. And then I realized, okay, well, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. And then I had this little whisper saying, you need to give hope to people. And I went, no, no. I'm not going to approach people and say, hey, I want to give you hope today. I'm like, people think I'm crazy. So, but it wouldn't go away. That nudge wouldn't go away. It was very, very strong. It was very strong. And I got online. I'm like, all right, nugget of hope. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to give somebody? And then I found these polished rocks that have the word hope engraved on them. So I bought them. They're not cheap. Rocks.
I know. I have a few of those. My daughter gave me one that says patience. I wonder why she gave that one to me.
Yeah, someone gave me one that says faith.
I have that too, yeah.
But I got nothing but hope. I got all the hopes. And I started carrying a few of those in my pockets with me. And one day I was like, I was in Walmart and I'm walking down the aisle and there's this older woman, and I've shared this story lots. There's this older woman standing, just staring at like the shelf of items. But I knew she wasn't seeing just by her posture. And I'm very, very empathetic. And I could just like feel sadness coming off of her because she was just standing staring. She wasn't looking at. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she was kind of lost for a few minutes. And I looked at her and it was so strong. It's like, you have to give her a nugget of hope. And I went, oh goodness. Okay. Well, here I go. 1, 2, 3, go. So I had it in my pocket and I pulled it out and I walked up on her side so I didn't startle her. And I just very softly, gently said, excuse me, ma'am. And she turned and looked at me with such a sad look. Oh, such a sad look in her eyes. And I held out my hand and I said, I would like to give you a nugget of hope today. Oh. And she held out her hand. And I just gently put it in her hand. And I said, I wish you a blessed day. And I turned and walked away. Knowing that I'm not supposed to chit chat. I'm not supposed to find out their story or their name. I'm just supposed to offer them hope.
Sure.
And as I'm walking away, I hear her say, oh my goodness, you have no idea. You have no idea. Thank you. And I just kept walking and got my stuff, got to my car, put my head on the steering wheel and just started crying. I'm like, sure. Okay, now I know what you meant by, and I'm talking to God when I'm doing this. I know what you meant by give somebody hope. So I've been doing that for 3 years now. And I would come home and write those down. It was not with the thought to share them or, pat myself on the back, anything like that at all. I wanted to write them down as a reminder to me, to myself, because I have found over the last 3 years, it's on the days that I don't feel great that I make myself go do an errand. I make myself get out of the house. I make myself go be around humans, and I give one of these out. It totally turns my day around.
Wow.
And I wanted to get those written down for me. And the more each one was so different, and there's been dozens and dozens of them. I mean, I've been, people have looked at me like I'm crazy or like, why are you stalking me? I've had people do nervous laughter. I've had people just bust out crying, just start crying. I've had people hug me and say, just thank you, thank you, thank you. I've been yelled at, I've been swore at. And each one was meant to be exactly how it turned out, and not one single person has ever not held out their hand and accepted it. Good. I'm a total stranger. I've never given these to people I know. It's always when I'm out and about and I just get like this really strong, like, oh, right there. Ooh, that person. Mm-hmm. There was a gentleman in the parking lot. It was pouring down rain and I'm walking behind him and I couldn't see his face or anything. I had seen his hat. He had a Vietnam hat on, ball cap. And I had seen him as he was walking past me because I was sitting there thinking, should I wait out the rain or just get through it? Who cares if you get wet? So I was just booking it with my cart. And I came up to him like he was turning towards his truck. And as I came up right beside him, I got such a strong feeling like that guy needs a nugget of hope right now. And I went, oh my gosh, it's literally dumping rain. So I'm digging for a nugget of hope. I pull one out and I say, excuse me, sir. I'm like running. I'm like, this guy's got to think I am crazy. But he turned and I said, I would love to give you a nugget of hope today. And he just looks at me like, what? I mean, it's pouring down rain.
He probably wanted you to give an umbrella that said hope on it.
Yeah, I know. He's like, what are you doing? And I just held it out. He held his hand out. And I said, I'm going to wish you a blessed day, sir. Be blessed. And I grabbed my cart and I ran to my car and was, I was drenched by then, putting everything in. As I got into my car, I was like 4 or 5 cars down. I just turned and glanced over it. He had not gotten in his truck yet. It's pouring down rain. He's just standing there, looking down at his hand, looking down at the nugget of hope. Wow. Just standing there. And I'm like, okay, there was a reason then. I don't know what the reason was, but there was a reason that all of a sudden it was like, that guy right there. I mean, it's pouring down rain. I should have been running towards my car.
You should have been running towards the creek, which is going to overflow. All right, Kim, we are going to be right back. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but you know what? This is the whole point of the show is that positive, uplifting atmosphere. And folks that are listening to this, this is what we're talking about. This is the way life can be. We so choose. You can either mire yourself in all misery and focus on your problems, or you can believe that other people have the same problems and you just, I don't want to say grind your way through it, but you work your way through it. There's always, that old adage, good times, and bad times don't last.
Good times never last, but tough people do.
Mine is bad times don't last, but neither do good times. Yeah. So you're going to go through the ups and downs. And ironically enough, Kim, the good book says the rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. Yeah. So folks, we'll be right back after this message.
Ciao, Chrissy. Your Italian got so much better. Brava.
Grazie. It's because I learned the best way possible.
How so?
Well, I learned that with apps, grammar books, and even YouTube videos, I could only get so far. I had to immerse myself. I noticed I did best when I was in Italy visiting family. That's where my level really soared.
And wow, did it work?
Thanks. I became much more confident, fast. That's why I created Footsteps Through Time. It's an Italian language experience. You don't just take Italian classes, you immerse yourself in a real Italian village. With lots of fun activities and excursions, it's life-changing.
I see. So, no more boring grammar, impersonal apps, just real conversations, real culture, and delicious food, of course.
Exactly. I'm so excited about this. Learn Italian by actually becoming part of the local community for a week and living it. So if you've been dreaming of Italy and the language, check out Footsteps Through Time in Italy.com. Book now and join the experience.
Andiamo!
Thanks to Greater Pittsburgh Travel. For any of your travel needs, let Tom and the team at Greater Pittsburgh Travel know, and they'll take care of you. For more information, call 412-331-2244 or visit their website at www.greaterpittsburghtravel.com. And we want to thank the Calabria Club of Pittsburgh. If you're interested in learning more, you can find their contact information on Facebook at Calabria Club of Pittsburgh. Again, thanks Domenica and the team at the Calabria Club of Pittsburgh for your support.
Hello, everyone. My name is Claudio Relsano, and I am the author of the book, Lead from the Heart Up, Not the Neck Up, How to Create a Positive Winning Culture on the Field and in the Office. My years as a head baseball coach and a general manager of a pro baseball scouting company, I know that my leadership experiences that I've included in this book will help you become a better leader. You can get the book at ClaudioRelsano.com. Speaking of ClaudioRelsano.com, you can listen to my show, The Claudio Relsano Show, where I've interviewed such legends as Mario Andretti, Dick Vermeil, Rocky Blyer, and many, many others. And I also have an entrepreneurial program there talking about my entrepreneurial experiences. So hopefully that'll help you, and hopefully you will enjoy that. And also, Sports Corner, hosted by Ralph Williams, co-host with myself, Jim Frazier, and Luther Dupree Jr. We appear on 92.5 FM, 1250 AM, The Answer, Salem Radio, every Saturday here in Pittsburgh, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you enjoy all the shows, and I hope you enjoy my book.
We'd also like to thank Chris Gonzalez from the Knights of Columbus. If you have any questions about joining the Knights of Columbus, reach out to Chris Gonzalez at 412-605-9074.
Mother's Day is the most disappointing day for mothers. Don't send Mom a text. Show her some love with a book that will make her laugh out loud. Buy her Come On Down, a little story about my Italian mom's big dream. Writer Fran Tuno tells the underdog story of her Italian mom's need to win big, feed people, and pray her kids marry and give her grandchildren. Plus, Come On Down has delicious recipes. Moms love those. Find Come On Down on Amazon and all large retailers. Learn more at frantunno.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Mancini.
And I am Claudio Relsano, and we are the hosts of Talking Business and Life.
Join us in celebrating the Italian community on June 28th as the Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Cincinnati Reds. This ticket package includes an exclusive co-branded Pirates Italian-themed jersey and loaded value to use on concessions and merchandise during the game.
And remember, a portion of each ticket purchased through this offer will benefit a local Italian charity.
So hope to see you there June 28th as the Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Cincinnati Reds.
Welcome back to Talking Business and Life with Steve Mancini and Claudio Relsano. We have a very special guest today, Kim Lengling, who is sharing her story. Kim, I wrote a book called Lead from the Heart Up, Not the Neck Up. But my mom used to say, never speak from the neck up, speak from the heart up, which is what you're doing, and we appreciate it. But I got to tell you, and I don't mean to take this in a different direction, I'm like that. I'm extremely sensitive, and I know Steve. Steve's a very passionate person as well. But I'm not jealous of anybody in this world. I have a wonderful life. I've been through hell like everyone else has. But there's one person that I wish I was like. And whenever I say this, my friends get very upset with me. But this one guy has had his wife pass away, parents pass away, grandparents pass away, pets pass away, nothing. And I mean nothing. Actually, he would joke during the illnesses and the funerals, but if the Pirates lose a ball game, or when Roethlisberger retired or somebody threw an interception, look out. And I would say to myself, I wish I was like him. I want somebody to, and I'll be honest, I've come into the studio upset about some different things, and Steve picked up on it right away. And I want one day for me to come in here and Steve say, Claudia, what's the matter? Damn it, Steve, the Pirates lost 6 games in a row. And that's where I want to be. I want to be like that guy.
Soon, Claudio.
What's that?
Soon.
I envy that guy because he doesn't care about anything. And sometimes I wish I was like that. And last thing, July of 88, when my mom was having surgery, I remember on the patio of the hospital, I told my dad, I wish I didn't care for either one of you as much as I do. Obviously, I took it back. But this guy was always like that. He's not a bad guy. He just doesn't give a damn about anything but himself and sports. And I wish I was like that.
You know what, though? I don't believe that's really the case about him.
I know people say that he's, what do you call it, tamping it down, or what's the other word they were using?
He's burying.
That's him. Trust me, I've known him for 1,000 years. That's him. He don't give a damn.
He's got to have a soft spot somewhere.
Oh, no, he's a good guy.
For the Pirates.
Right, Steve. No. He is a good guy. Steve doesn't even know him. He's right. He's got a soft spot for the Pirates and for himself. And I envy that because, Shakespeare said, if you tickle me, I laugh. If you prick me, I bleed. Well, I'm just no. That's not the one. That's not the one. Shakespeare said, "Life is a tragedy to those who think and feel, and a comedy to those who don't." You don't give a damn, and I really wish I was like that.
I don't.
Okay. Thank you very much for that response.
Get her off the air. And it's Creek.
But I'll tell you,
and it's Creek.
That's
not
right.
Creek.
That's right. We gave you enough leeway with Crick. But I want. But before you answer that, Kim, I want to say one thing though. There is something draining.
Draining.
When
Great
you
word.
when you care.
Yes.
And it's kind of like I've had to learn I've learned not too long ago, and I still kind of have this problem. Is I can't care about your problems more than you. But the problem is when you care about people, even if it's not as much as they do, you still care about them. At some point, I feel like our emotions are a lake. And eventually there's only so much water in the lake. When you're running around, doing this is a very positive thing. And you see these people, and most of the time, I'm going to make a leap of faith. When you're giving, your nuggets of hope here, you're not doing it to people that are laughing and having a great time. It's probably people that you think they need something. There's something missing. There's a moment in their life. They're in that pit, and I'm going to kind of reach down and help them out. Does that drain you, though, after a while?
I don't do it all the time. It's only when I feel very strongly nudged to. So it's not like every time I leave the house, I do it. I used to, years ago, and I understand completely what you're saying. I used to just give all the time. And help. And I would lose sleep over others. And then I realized this is not sustainable. And it took me a while. So I had to set boundaries, and I had to set them very strong. I couldn't softly set them. I had to bam, set them, period. And I did that probably, when I was around 50. So it was a hot minute ago. Couple minutes ago. I realized that it wasn't sustainable, and I was just tired. And I got to the point where you're caring so much that you get to the point you're like, I don't give a shit at all.
Well, that you know what?
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens to me, because I get to the point where now you're numb. Now you're pissed off because anything good that you had to give, you've given it away. Now you got nothing left for you.
Right,
so there's no
right.
balance there. It's not sustainable. And Claudio knows exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm the guy that doesn't say no at work, or the volunteer stuff, whatever it is.
And all you want is appreciated.
I don't even. You know what the truth is? I'll take it, but I don't even want that. You know what I want? It's like, just leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. I'll tell you why. I don't come to you with my problems, and I don't mean that. Now, but Kim, I'm gonna go back to you though. Everybody has that moment. The problem is it can't be every moment.
Right.
And I think therein is the problem with a lot of people that are, I don't want to just throw a blanket over a generation, because it's not necessarily an age thing, but I see it a lot. I see a lot with people. They just, any miscomfort, they don't know what to do. They can't handle it. And they want you to bail them out. They want someone else to solve their problems for them. Even the simplest problems, it doesn't matter. And I want to transition gears to something with you here, because this is kind of an important question here. You talk about a pet helping you emotionally when you get into that, I'm going to call it a funk, but you and I both know what we're talking about here. How do you feel, though, when people kind of abuse that idea of, say, a service animal, either because, they don't want to pay for the ticket, they don't want to transport their animal, or, oh my God, they're out of latte and I can't take it, and I need to drive my little poodle in because I can't take it. How do you feel about that, knowing that, especially being a veteran, there are guys that have been basically almost to the gates of hell and back, and then there's, in the rear with the gear, as we'll jokingly call it.
It ticks me off. Well, that's the short answer. I've worked for the past 27 years supporting veterans in my area, helping, with housing and food and clothing and all kinds of stuff. And we came up with the term red flag vet, because we'd have these people contact us, and we always vetted them. We need your DD-214 and you have to be honorably discharged, blah, blah, blah. And they would give, you get this really long story or it would be from the spouse of a veteran, this really long story. You're like, okay, I can empathize with you, but you got to prove what you're saying, because we don't just hand out money. We don't just pay your bills. And I had, let's see here, not a lot, but probably three over the years. And I called it, they whip out the I'm a veteran card. And and they were all men that did this to me, screaming and swearing and MFing me, saying, I'm a veteran and I deserve this and you need to do this. And I would just stand my ground and say, I'm a veteran too. No, you don't need that. And I don't need to help you at all. What you need to do is be a better human being and stop lying.
Right.
And they'd be like, I'm going to kick your butt. And I'm like, give it a try. You know, I never backed down from them. But I don't have any respect for that. The trying to abuse the system or be a taker, because there's too many people out there that are hurting and suffering very quietly.
Right.
That actually need my help.
And the chances are that the ones that are really hurting are probably the ones that aren't saying anything. And
Exactly.
by the way, my sister used to work for the VA, and she would see a lot of these.
Who did?
My sister.
Okay.
And she would come and talk to me, and you know, without disclosing details, but I'd be like, you know, how's it going? Oh, they're yelling at me, they're screaming at me, and you know, and then you find out what they did, and you're like, there's no way you're that traumatized. Like, you know what I mean? And Kim, you're going to totally get this. For people listening, veterans know this. Non-veterans don't realize this. For the longest time, people say, I want to thank you for your service. I'm like, you know what? I really didn't do that much. You know, I was, you know, a comm officer in the Air Force. I was AE in the Navy. You know, no pointy end of the spear stuff. Like no, you know, clearing houses out, blowing stuff up. You know, all that good, you know, fun stuff. And I'm not saying that that's the only job that's stressful or that could have caused them, because you could be in the rear and something really bad could have happened.
Yeah.
So I'm not poo-pooing that. But what I'm saying though is, you know, most people in the military aren't the pointy end of the spear. And what
Right.
you found was everyone said, well, if I get out, I mean, there are entire services set up to get you a disability check. You know, oh, you got tinnitus, or, you know, I got this, or I got that, or oh, all you got to do is claim anxiety or PTSD, you know, and you could have been a supply guy, never left the States. And this is the problem. And so everyone wants to run and say, thank you for your service, thank you for your service. Like, I appreciate anybody to put the uniform on. And in that regard, thank you for putting the uniform on. But not all veterans are the same, and not everybody that's worn the uniform is necessarily a good person. There were a lot of dirtbags in the military. I'm retired. And so I'm not, this is not like I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been all over the world, and I've met some really awesome people, and I've met some real dirtbags. And so the idea that, oh, you're in the service, you're all served honorably, that is garbage.
Yeah.
And so, Kim, I totally get that. And usually the ones that are pointing the finger and screaming are probably the ones that weren't the pointy end of the spear. Because the pointy end of the spear guys, they probably be like, either I'll suck it up, or, you know, I want to tough it out, or, you know, whatever. But they're not most likely. Now, there might be a few exemptions to that, but they're not going to be the ones doing that.
There's probably a few exemptions.
And again, I'm stereotyping in my own way, and I get that.
I get that. I get that because I've dealt with so many of them. Most of them will say, yeah, you know, you're right. But then you have those few that and I always say they try and flag their veteran card, and I'm like, I got one too, and mine says honorably discharged. You know.
Right.
Yeah, so because there's one gentleman, he went through, he called every organization in our area. I mean, and this was a lot. And so we were all calling each other saying, red flag if this dude calls. And so he was being turned down by everybody because he was like, you know, I'm a veteran. You need to do this for me. And the one veteran service officer in my area, because this guy was in my face, and I told the VSO about it, and he's like, no, this doesn't happen. And he goes, what's the guy's name again? And so he looked up all of his records, because I had enough information for him to do that. And the guy was dishonorably discharged because he beat the crap out of an officer. I'm like, smart. And was going around trying to get money and food and all kinds of stuff from the organizations. And he went to his house, this VSO. He was a big dude. He was a big, bulky dude. and he went to this veteran's house and told him to. This is how he explained it to me. I went and knocked on his front door, and I told him that he needed to cease and desist. And if he did not, that there was going to be a battalion of combat Vietnam veterans knocking on his front door. Wow. And I'm like,
I love it. That was a Chris. And if he hasn't sure about that, remind him there was a Chris Christopherson movie in the 70s about this. Remember the truck? He was the trucker. And he was, anyways, Claudio, your turn. Claudio, your turn.
I know a lot of things, but I didn't know about that.
We just went off on a tangent.
We did, but that's good.
You know what, Kim? We always ask people what's next for them, but I'm going to throw you a curveball. Not what's next for you professionally, but what's next for you personally? What would you like to be better at? I know me personally, as I said, and I know it's not going to happen. I'd like to care less, and that's not how I'm wired. I'm a passionate guy, and when I do care, I care a ton. But I'm still trying to curb it a little bit. But what's next for you as a person?
That is not an easy question. I'm facing potentially a tough situation coming. And so all my focus has been on that because it could be life-altering, not in a great way. So I've been focusing on that. But outside of that, what I want to do is just each day, I just want to be a little bit better person than I was the day before. If I can help someone and I know that it's the right thing to do, then I'll do it. I want the discernment. I would love to have more discernment on. Sometimes I need to put more attention on myself, on my own well-being. So, discernment comes into play. But I don't know. I'm kind of a simple person. I want to be a little bit better than I was yesterday, whether that's a person, whether that's a writer, whether that's a podcaster. And I want to continue. I love podcasting. I love doing my show. I love having guests on because I love to hear them, to actually see them and hear them. And I often tell myself and ask, upstairs, the big guy upstairs, make me a better listener. Please help me to hear this person, to actually see and hear this person today. Because sometimes that's all someone needs. That's all someone needs sometimes. It's just someone to listen. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah,
the way
it does. Something I really enjoy. We set up a little thing at my house, like a coffee section. So I really enjoy having coffee with my wife in the morning breakfast, with my daughter as well. But we have a cup that says, and we don't use it, we just have it to the side that says, "Enjoy today." So I look at that cup, even though some people try to screw it up, and not to make this about me, there's somebody that I'm dealing with that, it's a life-altering thing for me. There's a decision I have to make professionally. I mean, I can't stand the guy or his son, but that's another story. But I've asked Steve to bring me down from the ledge a few times. But anyway, I look at the cup. It says, "Enjoy today, enjoy today." And like I said, when I was in the hospital in October, I said, you know what, Claude, you're an idiot. Why the hell would you let somebody get to you that much? Eleanor Roosevelt said, no one can bother you unless you give them your consent. And I've given people their consent, and I'm working on that. But that's why I asked you that question. Maybe not so much, it was for me, like I've told Steve many times, a lot of our guests, I'll ask them questions because I want them to help me. And I want your opinion. And when you said something, I thought about Steve because Steve's always doing this, that, and the other. And, he should maybe, I hope you don't get upset with this, Steve, but you should think about Steve a little bit. And I'm not excluding your family, obviously. I'm not talking about that.
I am.
But, and my dad was that way. My dad was always giving. And Steve used the word earlier, draining. And it's draining. And he made another great point. I don't want you to do anything for me. Like my dad one time, he said to this one couple guys, you don't have to, my dad did a lot for these couple people. And he said, you don't have to do anything for me, But God, don't bust my back. He said something else. Don't bust my back. Leave me the hell alone at least, you know. But yeah, no, I was just curious of that answer for you or from you. And again, great answer. And all your answers were great. And every single one of your answers was from the heart. And I can tell looking in your eyes and how you are, and you're a passionate person. But real quick, you mentioned your podcast. We have to talk a little bit about your podcast. Tell us about that. Let fear bounce.
Yeah, let fear bounce. That started in 2020, like when the world closed, and we were all stuck in our homes because we were told to be, and that's when I was like, no, I turned off the TV. I quit watching TV then.
Smart.
And that continues today.
Smart.
I don't watch mainstream TV or mainstream media whatsoever because it's all BS. My opinion.
You're right.
And I decided, and I had lost my job, as millions and millions of others had. I was a sales and marketing director for a small manufacturing company. And so I was on the road visiting customers. Well, all those doors shut.
Sure.
There wasn't nothing for me to do, And so, and I saw it coming. So I wasn't surprised by it. But still, I was at a certain season in life 5 years ago. And you're like, well, this isn't where I thought I was going to be at 50 some, right, and no job. What the bleep, And so I told myself, be really angry for 24 hours, Kim. That's it. Give yourself 24 hours, be really angry. And I did that. And I did it really, really well. I did that very well.
Are there a bunch of broken dishes in Kim's house still?
No, but the trees got an earful by the trees and my dog got an earful.
Your dog, right.
So for 24 hours, I did a good mad, and I did it really good. And then the next day I woke up, I'm sitting on the side of my bed. I'm like, all right, Kim, I asked myself 3 things. What do you want to do? What do you like to do? And what do you have a passion for? Write it down, figure something out, pull up your big girl panties and make something happen. Did I know what I was doing? No. And I'm like, well, what's this podcasting thing? I don't know. So I Googled it. And that's when I started it. Boom, right then. And not knowing what I was doing. I had a really old laptop. I had no camera, no microphone. It was just, really crappy. Didn't know what I was doing, but I'm like, I can't sit here because I'm not one to sit and do nothing.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, I'll do this. So started doing that. Called up a few people I knew through networking type things, and then got online and found some online networking things. So I met a bunch of women from all over the world because we were all in the same boat. And we all did, I made friends that we still once a month have coffee with virtually from over in England and Australia. Nice. So it's, the connections that were made just seemingly random. But that's how it started. I just started having people on and chit chatting, and it was talking about, because the world was feeding us fear. It was literally being chucked in our faces.
That's for sure.
And I'm like, what? I'm not letting this stuff land on me. And that's what I kept saying out loud to myself. That's not landing. I'm letting that stuff bounce. So I'd be like, all right, Kim, wake up every day. Time to armor up again. Because the D-man's got his little minions out there shooting his poison darts at me. And I want to hear him ping off my armor. So letting him bounce. So that's how the title came. That's how the show came about. And I'm in season 6. So like the 6th year now.
Wow.
And still going strong. It's not a huge show. I don't have like this massive following, but I really don't care because the people that I've met and the people I continue to meet are amazing. And the stories that they share, I realize, I don't go by numbers, because if I focused on that, then I don't think that I would focus on my guests.
Oh, I get it.
That's just me.
And to be honest with you, I don't believe a lot of the numbers, but that's another story.
Yeah, I don't either. And that's, I'm like, I don't want to delegate a person to analytics.
Right, exactly.
It feels icky. It gives me an icky feeling,
right.
So I want to.
It feels like Major League Baseball. Ew.
Yeah, exactly. Very true. Trust me.
But so I love giving people a platform to share their story, just like you guys do. I'm sure you guys have probably met amazing people and heard amazing stories that have touched you deeply.
Well,
that includes Kim.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. We use the word impact. And
Yeah.
so many people have had impact on me, and that's something that's important to us to have impact on others. And I know you are doing that as well. And we're not just doing it for kicks. There's a lot of reasons why we're doing it, but one of them is definitely to have impact on people.
Yeah, I just enjoy it. I enjoy meeting new people. I enjoy chit-chatting, and the folks that have been on my show, they're like, "Kim, you're just the most relaxed host. Thank you for making us feel so comfortable." Or they say, "We feel like we just, like I just sat down with a friend that I've known for years." And to me, that's like the highest compliment.
Yeah.
It's like, "Well, heck yeah, grab your coffee, sit back, let's go." What do you want to talk about?
So Kim, so funny you say that, because before the show, Claudia and I always try and kind of game plan before a show, and I'm sure you do the same thing. And I'll be honest, we were like, I don't know much. I didn't know you before this show, and Claudio obviously didn't know. You knew a little bit about you. You're an author and all that. We don't know you, but you're right. The minute you said veteran, and you talk about all that, I'm like, man, it's like I knew you for 10 years, because we immediately have a connection. And I guarantee you, I probably know a lot about you now just because of some of your background. And to your point, Kim, I don't know you if we're not doing this show. And we don't know you if you're not writing that book. And ultimately, that's what you got to be doing it. For your dozens and dozens, I like to jokingly say, for our dozens and dozens of listeners all over the world, I mean, at the end of the day, though, the simple fact is that somebody's coming back. So, and same with your show, same with our show. I don't care how many people are, somebody must like it, right?
They're most of the stuff is evergreen. So someone 5 years from now
right.
might go back, might stumble across an episode of yours,
and all of a sudden they're binge watching Steve, and they're going, "Who is this clown?"
Right,
Anyways.
but they're getting something positive from it, And when I look at it that way, like long game, that I just sit there and go, "Man, wow."
Yeah, that's everything.
It's the same thing with when you write a book and you put it out into the world.
It's like, Kim, it's like peeing in the pool. When it's in there, you can't get it out. So these podcasts and your book are out there.
I don't do that often.
Kim, how can
I understand what you're saying.
How can people get in touch with you, listen to your show, and get your books?
Easiest place is just to go to my website, which is my name, KimLenglingAuthor.com. It's KIMLENGLING author.com. My books are on there. My podcast is on there. You can meet Dexter, my dog, on there because he's my office manager. He's the one who keeps me in line. So he's my office manager. You can see what's coming up, what's going on, what other shows I've been on there. All my books are on Amazon, and if not, you can just Google my name and I show up.
And I'll put that on the description as well. So folks that are watching this, go down to the description. I'll put a link to Kim's website. But Kim, before we kind of sign off, I seriously, I want to thank you. This was a fun one.
It was fun.
I had no idea what to expect.
We appreciate your passion.
And your nuts for saying crick. If for no other reason, Kim, it's creek. But
it is crick.
I say
it's crick.
Wait a minute. By the way, did we ever agree? Is it soda or pop? Are you a pop lady or a soda lady?
I'm a pop person.
All right.
Pop.
Well, I do soda pop only because I remember The Outsiders in the 80s, if you remember that movie. Remember Soda Pop and Pony Boy and Dally? Anyways. All right, well, folks, I'm going to give Claudia the last goodbye. But, Kim, I wanted to thank you again. We are going to stay in touch. I'm probably going to order one of your books and, hoping we can just keep a relationship going with one veteran to another, if nothing else. And I look forward to hopefully one day you're not too far up the road, so let's plan a real coffee, nothing virtual.
A real coffee.
And love it. Because I said you're only an hour and a half up the road, so I can absolutely will make it happen. So Claudio, as always, take us away.
Kim, great job. We're so lucky to have you on, and we'll definitely have you on again. But we will be in touch, and thank you for being on. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, both you guys. This was fun.
It was fun. And thank you to Mickey for setting this up for us. And,
that's right.
Yeah, got to mention Mickey. So again, thank you, Kim. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate the audience, and as always, thank you, Mom and Pop.
Thank you for listening to Talking Business and Life with Claudio Relsano and Steve Mancini. Tune in next week for more impactful business and life experiences with Claudio and Steve.